Purposely. Your life, God's purpose. Listen at purposely.com.
You might have noticed that I do a lot of talking for a living. I use a lot of words. I do a lot of writing. I do a lot of talking. And so words are kind of my thing. So you can imagine that when I was on a phone call a few years ago with someone and I was using a particular word, they gently and kindly said, "Hey, I just wanted to point something out. I think you're pronouncing that word wrong. I think you pronounce it this way." And friend, I got to tell you, I doubled down because I knew I was right. I'm Julie Lyles-Carr, and this is God on the Go, where we help you make the minutes matter when you're on the way to school, when you're heading to soccer practice, all the things. We're part of the Purposely Podcast Network. And we're talking about what it means to make room. We talked about what it means to make room for new friends and to make room for people who feel left out. And today we have to talk about this. Sometimes you got to make room that you just might not be right about something, that you might be wrong. So here's a question for you. What is the word that gets mispronounced the most in English? I didn't know this. This is really fascinating. The answer is mischievous. Mischievous. I typically think of mischievous. Do you? Yeah, that's how a lot of people say it. But the actual right way to say it is mischievous. Well, that reminds me of the story I was telling you. Like I said, there was this word that I was using as I was talking to this person a few years ago. They gently said, "I don't think that's how it's pronounced." I doubled down. I got off the phone call with them. I felt so right. And then I went and looked it up, and I was so wrong. I had not made room in my own understanding to think, maybe I should think about this. You know, sometimes we're just not right. It doesn't mean that we are trying to do something bad or we're trying to be wrong. It's just that we all have a lot to learn, right? And so sometimes you need to make room that you could be wrong. Sometimes you may hear an opinion that you think, nope, that's not right. And then later you have some time to think about it and you realize, oh. Sometimes you might hear somebody use a Bible verse in a certain way and you'll think, yeah, that's right. And then when you go and look at it for yourself or you check in with your mom and dad, you realize, oh, actually, let's make room. That's not exactly what that means. It makes me think about Saul in the New Testament. Now, you may not have heard of Saul in the New Testament, but you might have heard of Paul. That became his new name after he made room to realize that he was wrong about something. Saul was a guy who, when he first started encountering these people who were following Jesus, he thought they were so wrong. And not only did he think they were wrong, but he went along with some really bad people's plans to hurt people who were following after Jesus. But one day while Saul was on a trip, Jesus appeared to him and showed him how wrong he had been. In Acts 9, verse 1, it says, "Meanwhile, Saul was still breathing out murderous threats against the Lord's disciples." That's when Saul just knew that he was right. But when he made room for Jesus to show him a better way, when he made room for Jesus to explain to him that actually these followers of Jesus were the ones who had really gotten it right, well, that changed everything for Saul. And then Saul became Paul. So what about you? Are there things that you think you're just so right about, but maybe you need to make some room? Make some room to realize that it might not be that way. Make some room to realize that, yeah, everybody's saying this about this kid in your class, but make some room. Maybe they're wrong. Maybe there's something that your mom and dad are saying they want you to do, and you think, I don't want to do that. That's just not what I know that I'm right about this. But maybe you need to make some room to consider what they're telling you. Making room to consider that you might be wrong, well, it can help you get things right. When you make some room in your heart, when you make some room in your pride to think, you know what, maybe I don't have it all figured out. Maybe there is something out there that I need to consider. Well, that's a great way to make room for more light, more learning, more understanding to come into your heart. I want to send out a great big thanks to George Fox University. They're our sponsor here at God on the Go. Go check out georgefox.edu because it is such an incredible university experience for your students. And as you are preparing for those college years, I know that George Fox University is certainly something you're going to want to know about. And I'll see you next time here at God on the Go.
Thanks for listening. We just wanted to take a minute to let you know that just like you and your family, Purposely is also part of a family, the Krista family of ministries. Krista helps kids and teens learn and grow in their faith at King Schools and Miracle Ranch Camp. And Krista shares Jesus with people in the poorest, most remote places through World Concern. Krista Senior Living is a community of love and care, and Krista Media is a place of hope on the radio. God is changing lives through these 5 ministries, and Krista is on mission to share the good news of Jesus. To learn more, visit Krista.org.